Well, welcome everyone. I am Celeste Barr with eXp Realty, and I'm here with Brian Jessen with Wintrust Mortgage. And we are back on doing some additional videos. And one of the conversation topics that we want to touch on today is the reason I chose to work at eXp Realty. And for my clients, I think that overall, you're looking for a realtor that is proficient. And that's never going to change. You're always going to be looking for the best agent. So with that said, having 35 years behind me, I know the steps involved with working with a buyer as well as working with a seller. But the company that I chose, the reason I chose EXP was because I could see that there was a change in our industry that was happening before we even wanted to admit it. And for the reasons that seemed to be obvious now, but it wasn't at the time, was because we had all gone through this separation through COVID. Most realtors during that window of time, they weren't going into the office. They were all working virtually. And they probably didn't even recognize the fact that they were working virtually. They just were not welcome at their offices because, of course, everybody had to be wearing masks and you had to sanitize everything. Well,
And I
when that
couldn't even go to closings like we talked about in previous episodes
exactly.
to make sure everybody's happy if they have a question. And they're like, no, you can't come into the office, so that you couldn't go to closings either.
It really changed quite a bit. And of course, when you were a producing agent in general, you're not in the office. You're out producing. You're meeting with clients and you're having consultations. You're even just making phone calls from wherever because you're in relation with your clients. But the reason I ended up kind of tipping from where I was at KW and I had been at KW for 15 years. But choosing to move to EXP wasn't because I didn't like KW.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that kind of move. What were you going to say? I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
W is Keller Williams. People might not.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Keller Williams. But when it actually happened, I had gotten a call. They wanted me to meet with them. I did a virtual call with them. I wasn't physically in front of the guy that was asking me, and I wasn't ready to move. I guess I never even thought of moving from where I was because unless you feel like, oh, I'm not getting something where I'm at, why would I move? But I was approached by another agent that's a friend 6 months later. And one of the things she showed me was how I could spend less money, which is, always going to be an interest. I can do the same thing I'm doing and be paying out much less. There's also at EXP ways to earn over 100% in your income. And one of them, of course, is because of your production, you make money, but you also have other ways to earn money. And, there's business relationships that you can make through Revenos. That's a company within our company that allows you to create business relationships for businesses that then their employees can get discounts through our company. So there's lots of alternative ways. Plus, of course, the most obvious, which is everybody talks about how we do a lot of attraction to EXP. I love the fact that I'm in a setting, and this is probably one of the undersold pieces of this, is I'm in a setting every single day with other producers who are actively involved in developing their business and making it the most proficient process that you can have. Where I'm also involved in a very cool mastermind where we're reading business books, and every single day we meet for half an hour and we talk about the next chapter that we've just read. And I'm telling you, there's things in these books that I'm like, I can't believe I've become a reader because I love the fact that I'm learning, but I also know that I'm reading, everyone can read a chapter a day. That's not hard.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm evolving, even though it's 35 years in, I'm evolving even to be a better realtor than I was back in the early days. And I can't say enough about the things that are happening at EXP, including one of the forecasts is that they're thinking we're going to grow by about 30,000 agents in 2025,
Your
which
company,
is huge.
that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Have relationships all over the world too, I think.
Yeah, we have, besides being a national company, we're in Canada, and then we're also, as of 2024, we're in 24 countries. And they've already announced that they're going to do an additional 3 countries that are joining EXP. So our current numbers are, I think we are at around 90,000 agents, but they're intending their business structure has gotten so much momentum that they're anticipating the growth to be about 30,000 new agents this year.
Wow, it's a lot. Yeah.
So, in summary, it's not just about the things that are happening for my business, it's what I'm offering my clients, including we have new software that it was just announced in October that we now all have Canva Pro.
And what does that mean?
It's free to the realtors that work at our company, and it allows people to do our social media, and we could do video creation for our listings, as well as just in general the marketing pieces that they're already offering us. They're already created, allow us to focus more on our business instead of the marketing stuff.
Well,
So it's
especially
great.
a lot of people want to grow. So I went to a really go to luncheons, but I went to this luncheon today, and they gave the stat that 71% of realtors didn't sell a single thing in 2024. So 71% of people that are hanging their real estate license in a pretty active market didn't sell a single thing last year. So you can tell that there's this, select group of people that are active, engaged, working, learning, growing, and so many aren't. So you're obviously doing that and expanding your knowledge and expanding your base of business. And 71% of the agents in your industry aren't, obviously, if they're not doing a single transaction in a year. So that's a credit to you to be at some place where they want you to get better, want you to learn, you want to learn, and you're around other agents that have the same mindset.
And I think the phrasing, you've heard this before, who you hang around with, you're either growing or you're not. And I want to be in an environment where I'm with people that are actively growing in their business. I just do.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful experience.
Bouncing ideas off each other, people are actively engaged in the business and actively growing their business. So it's like kind of like minds where you can piggyback other people and ask their opinions because they're doing the same thing. They're trying to be active and growing and learning. So it's a
Well,
good.
and Brian, I'm going to add something to this conversation because it is about, the fact that I love where I'm at right now, but I am not a company jumper. I worked for KW for 15 years and I was with Remax for 14 years. I even was with Coldwell Banker before that. But what I'm seeing now is a change in the way I think about my business. And I use you as an example to have business partners in my world. They may not be realtors, but they are good at great at what they do. And that only enhances my business. So that's where I'm at right now, which is I feel, we're lucky that we have each other to just build our clients' experience, make it a great one. And the hard part about this is how do they know who we are unless we're doing these kinds of videos?
Yeah, because there's
They
so many
don't.
choices and there's a lot of okay choices and some bad choices and some good choices. And it's more about just being really good listeners and understanding what's best for the clients and understanding what questions to ask so you can figure out what's best for the clients. And then sometimes asking again and again because they don't know what questions necessarily to ask. They might see a picture they like or a kitchen they like, or they're not going to know anything about various mortgage types and why you'd even want different ones. So it's like our responsibility to first of all do whatever's in their best interest, make them comfortable. I told somebody today uh, she makes about 60,000 a year. She's working a part-time job as well, and she's getting her master's degree. All the while she has, I believe, a 10-year-old son. So she's doing all this stuff at once. And in my opinion, she'll have 2 years at her part-time job a year from now, which we can count that income at that point. And in the early summer, she'll be done with her master's and she's going to get a new job, which will give her a significant bump in pay with the MBA. So she could buy now, but like it actually is probably better for her to buy next year because in the way her situation's laying out, and she's paying a pretty inexpensive rent, not like dirt cheap, but pretty cheap relative to the rental market. So my advice was like, yeah, we'll give you a pre-approval now if you'd like. We can always renew it or update it. But if you're okay with your rental situation right now, and she's like, I'd like to own, but I said, actually better for you to wait till next year because you'll have this big jump in pay for your primary job and you'll have 2 years of your part-time job, which we can count that income too. And my purpose isn't to have her buy this massive house, but she'll go from maybe buying something at 225 with a more limited scope of stuff. So she'll be more like 350 to 400. So there'll just be that many more choices and she'll be able to easily afford it with her increase in pay. So it's not always about the immediate, okay, it's always whatever's best. And you do the same thing. If it's not a good house or you don't think it's the right fit for people, you're honest enough to tell them you probably shouldn't buy this, or this is overpriced, or you should pay no more than this. And if the seller's not willing to budge, we should walk away. So like you have that integrity. And that's why I think we get along together because we're not, I don't feel like I'm in sales. I feel like I'm in the advice business and giving
Yes.
people best advice. And sometimes, like I told you before, maybe it's not using me. That other place is fine. You've worked with them in the past. It's okay. But they'll remember that you weren't salesman-y. They'll remember that you did. Yeah, and you've done this too, where you don't get the business, but sometimes they come around and use you a separate time, or they refer somebody that they know that they didn't make the best choice and who they use. So they end up referring to somebody that like, I remember Brian, you gave me really good advice. And I didn't even do the loan originally for you, but I did remember everything you said and it was accurate. So that's just us being professionals.
That's awesome. And that's what it should be, but I don't believe that it is always.
Yeah,
I
we
think
were
we have to very,
before we got on here, and it doesn't matter what it was, but we had thought on one particular person. And usually we're very, very positive people, so you don't want to dwell on the negative. But we both had a meeting of the minds that, yeah, we had a commonality of thought with the person we had brought up. So anyway, so you kind of know generally in your business lane, whether it be lending or real estate, kind of who are pretty good at what they do, who are kind of in the middle, and some people you want to avoid like the plague. And we don't want to bash anybody on this thing, but yeah, when you hear some names, you're like, oh Lord, oh no. Even if you don't use me, please, you might want to reconsider that. But anyway.
yep, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I'm glad we did this video. And for all that's who are watching, we want to tell just the best part about this experience is we're hoping that you realize we do have your best interests at heart. And really it just starts with you making a phone call. Pick up a phone and call us and let us help you. And our phone numbers will be in the description below this video. So thank you so much for watching.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you, Brian.